He was Libya's self-styled revolutionary leader, who ruled with an iron fist for more than 40 years. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi said he would rather die than step down from the leadership of Libya. But his grip on power also resulted in the death of many others. He leaves behind a country deeply scarred by his rule.
Gaddafi was delusional, unpredictable, disloyal, vindictive, and bent on entering history in the most significant way, even if that comes at the expense of people around him.
In September 1969, a 27-year-old Muammar Gaddafi led a group of army officers in a coup against King Idris. They proclaimed a new Libyan Arab Republic. Gaddafi modelled himself on Egyptian leader Gamal Abdel Nasser. The young colonel wanted to be a leader of the Arab world. At home, Gaddafi declared a cultural revolution. People's committees were formed. They were used to take over businesses and silence dissidents. Many disappeared. Gaddafi published the Green Book, which established the rule of the masses. In reality, the colonel exercised nearly total control of government. He even ordered the adoption of a new calendar, based on the death of the Prophet Muhammad. Meanwhile, Gaddafi antagonized the West, particularly the United States, which labeled Libya a state sponsor of terrorism.
Mad Dog of the Middle East has a goal of a world revolution, Muslim fundamentalist revolution, which is targeted on...
Gaddafi did support the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and he funded the Irish Republican Army and Colombia's FARC guerrillas. Then, in 1986, a Libyan-sponsored attack on a discotheque in Berlin killed 3 and wounded more than 250, including 50 American servicemen. The US responded by launching a series of airstrikes on Libya. Targets included Gaddafi's residence in Tripoli, killing more than 100 people, including Gaddafi's adopted daughter, Hannah. 2 years later, Pan Am Flight 103 was blown up over the town of Lockerbie in Scotland, killing 270 people. Gaddafi denied involvement. Libya endured years of UN sanctions and international isolation, but he eventually surrendered the suspects demanded by London and Washington, D.C. Then came September 11th. Gaddafi joined the West in fighting al-Qaeda. He abandoned his development of weapons of mass destruction, but Arab world ties remained strained. There had been claims that Libyan intelligence was behind a plot to assassinate the Saudi king Abdullah bin Abdulaziz. At a regional summit to try to avert the US-led invasion of Iraq, Gaddafi accused the Saudis of being US puppets, prompting an angry response from the then Crown Prince Abdullah.
Saudi Arabia is not a slave to colonial forces like you and others. Who brought you into power? Tell me the truth. Who brought you into power?
By then, Gaddafi had done enough to be welcomed back onto the world stage, playing host to world leaders in the spotlight. Estranged from the Arab world, Gaddafi turned to Africa. He proposed a United States of Africa, a grandiose project that was never taken seriously. As an uprising against Gaddafi gathered earlier this year, he blamed everyone from the United States to al-Qaeda and the so-called drugged-up rats and cats of Libya. In one of his last televised addresses, Gaddafi threatened massive violence to quash protesters. Following a push through Libya by opposition groups backed by NATO firepower, Gaddafi lost his grip on Tripoli. Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte was his final stronghold. Africa, and the Arab world's longest ruling leader, has left Libya in tatters. Despite its oil wealth, the vast majority of Libyans live on around $2 a day. 40% are jobless. Many will remember Gaddafi as the leader who set Libya back many years. Matthew Moore, Al Jazeera.